Wasabi guys, welcome back to another episode of Weekly Warnings, this time for the 12th of January. I'm happy to say that this week we don't see as many of the shenanigans that we're used to seeing, but there's some very interesting things to point out, and it still is relevant to discuss the direct feature and how that is impacting the market. As always, if you appreciate these videos, subscribe to the channel, it does mean a lot. The first card to discuss is actually from Urza's Legacy, Hidden Gibbons. This is a very obscure card, but if I had to guess, this is probably going up because of Legacy, or just because of the fact that it's really hard to find in good condition. Because while it isn't a reserve list card from Urza's Legacy, it was never reprinted, so it's effectively the same. For 1 green mana, this enchantment says when one of your opponents successfully casts an instant or interrupt spell, if Hidden Gibbons is an enchantment, Hidden Gibbons becomes a 4/4 creature that counts as an ape. So for only 1 green mana, you could potentially have amazing value. It is dependent on your opponents playing an instant. That being said, if you're able to get that off, that's a very solid creature, especially going back to the days when cards like Juzam Djinn were still amazing value. It's all about the power and toughness you get for the mana you spend. Personally, my favorite part of the card is the flavor text. It has the goofiest flavor text I think I've ever seen. When these apes want something, it's a matter of give and take. Yeah, they actually put that on here. So usually when it comes to cards like these, I don't think it's manipulation. I think obviously there's going to be someone playing with the card in the market, just seeing what they can do with it, but there's such a limited quantity of these, especially in good condition. So it being listed for around $4 and selling for around $2, it's not a surprise to me. It's been a sub $1 card forever. And you know those foil prices are legit because any kind of foil rare from this time of the game tends to go for an extra premium compared to newer foils. The next card we have is the Extended Art Lauren of the Third Path. A very solid white card, if I had to say. You can't really go wrong with this. If you were to throw it in your mono white deck, it gives you pretty much everything you would ever want. Good removal and the potential to draw cards consistently. And while I don't think there are a lot of games being played here, this is going to highlight the issue that I have with the direct feature. Because we're seeing more and more, there's a huge disparity here between the direct sellers, or the sellers who have direct eligible listings, and the ones that are not direct eligible. So this is the first page of the listings, and I know, yeah, you could go to the first page of any listings, and you're going to find the best deals, of course. But then you scroll to the bottom of that page, you're going to see that the average listing that is direct eligible is nearly double that of the other listings. And it's not just Last Save Point. We dunk on Last Save Point all the time. It's all these other pretty well-known sellers with 50,000 plus sales. So that tells me that, TCG player, they like this. It's not anything illegal. It's not money laundering. People have been saying that in my comments for a long time. It's not anything like that. It is just simply they are taking advantage of a feature where they can basically place this ridiculous premium on any card, and TCG player agrees to shove that in your face. The next card is Loyal Apprentice from Commander 2018. I think it's a solid card for what it is. Gives you reliable creature fodder when you have your commander out there. I mean, that's the best case scenario for those 1/1 Thopters. That being said, it's not really anything special. It getting anywhere near back to $5 would be a bit of a surprise. It's a pretty slow week, guys. Not really a lot of manipulation here. I'm looking at the sales for the past week, and I'm not seeing any of the typical red flags. I'm seeing a lot of $1.29 sales, but that's not, of a ridiculous premium that would manipulate the card's value that much. The next card we have to talk about is Dyergraph Colossus from Shadows over Innistrad. Talk about how quickly time flies. This card's already going to be 7 years old. And this was after Kaladesh, too. And that set also feels like it was yesterday. This card enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each zombie card in your graveyard. When you cast a zombie spell, you put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. So, a pretty solid zombie card. An easy auto-include if all you're in it for is the zombie tokens. I'm a big fan of zombie tokens, 2/2s. They put in a lot more work than things like those 1/1 Thopters. And itself is also a Pioneer-eligible card, right? So it could see some play there. It's only 3 mana. You have to consider that being part of its potential value. But we're going to see kind of a similar situation here. The direct sellers are not going to be the ones giving you the best deals because they're not incentivized to do so. So you're going to be paying around 4 for this lightly played when you have others that are offering you half of that for the same condition or even better. And I don't want to call out any specific sellers for taking advantage of the direct feature unless they're really clowning it up. If it's like a $40 listing with the direct feature, then I'm going to say something about that specific seller. The reason why I call out Last Save Point all the time is because they do this ridiculously silly thing where they have several listings around the same value for the same card. And in some cases, you'll be spending less for a near mint than you would for a heavily played. It's ridiculous. But unless I see something like that, I'm not going to call out other specific sellers. The next card is Goblin Welder, another Urza's Legacy card. Someone must have gone back in time, found all these Urza's Legacy cards, and decided, hey, we need to do something about these. I must have missed it back in 2021 when this card spiked, because I remember it being around a $4 or $5 card for a long time, but nothing really that valuable. Now it's selling above 20, and that foil price is ridiculous, but we're about to see whether or not that's true. This is a card that has had the reprint treatment, so it's not that uncommon, but for what it does in artifact decks in red, the fact you can repeat that ability each turn and recycle your artifacts is really strong. And when looking at the most recent sales, it seems to be legit. You see that near mint foil price of $422. I am not certain as to how hard this card is to find near mint foil, so I don't want to jump the gun here and assume that that's a fake sale. Like for one of those, you can get 20 of the non-foils. Next, we have Cloth's Will from Commander Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. This one was kind of one of those cards that I ignored. I looked at it once, I saw its modes, and I said, okay, it's an alright card. The problem with spells like these in Gruul is that you usually get better value off of creatures. You know what I mean? Like you'd get a good creature ETB that could deal with artifacts and enchantments. You'd have good creature ETBs that would deal with creatures without flying and activated abilities of a similar kind. So something like this does tend to fly under the radar. But you do have that value of if you play your commander, you have your commander out there, you get to choose both of these modes. And this is another one where it doesn't really seem like it's being manipulated. It doesn't look like anyone's playing games with this card. It just looks like it's going to be one of those harder to find precon cards that people are starting to take an interest in. The last card is Counterbalance from Cold Snap, another card that is just hard to find. It's another one also where the foil price is insane. It does have a reprint, but I believe it is a masterpiece, so that doesn't make the card any easier to find. All around, it's interesting. It's a hilarious card. If you can manipulate the top card of your library, you can have a lot of fun. And when looking at the sales, nothing really stands out here outside of the foil price. And as we've seen, the foil price for hard-to-find cards, it's going to be one heck of a premium. So that's going to do it for the 12th of January, 2023. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. We're still going to stay vigilant, watching for the direct feature sellers. We're going to make sure that, when you're shopping on TCG Player, or even if you're selling on TCG Player, that you have the best possible chance compared to your competition. Yeah, I mean, certain sellers are going to have an advantage, that's true, but what we see way too often with these sellers is that they take advantage of that, and then they list it at a ridiculous premium that's 3 to 4 times the average listing from other sellers. We didn't really see much of that today, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. But as we saw in 2022, we have some good weeks, and then it's followed by some of the worst weeks. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. See you next week for the weekly warnings. Commander Void here signing off. Have a wonderful day.